Hey there, this is Christina Marassi, and welcome to today's video where we continue the conversation of the ritual of a rebrand. Okay, so yesterday I was on the phone with my dear friend Amanda Moxley, and she was like, what is this new niche already? Like, when are you gonna tell us what it is? Like, stop teasing us. And I was just like, girl, if I knew what this new niche was, I would be telling you what this new niche was. Like, I'm not actually trying to be a tease at all. I really don't know. I feel like I'm in this interesting process, a little bit in the dark, but I have a sense that there might be a beauty behind it. Like, I'm going through something that is part of birthing the new way to do business, and so I'm doing my best to trust the process. So for today, I wanted to share some of what I do know and share what I'm learning about this in hopes that it will be helpful to you too. Anyone else out there trying to figure out their niche and like, what is it called? I know the feeling, but let's start in this interesting space. So part of the story started a couple of weeks ago when I was coaching a client and she was birthing her signature high-end program, and she was getting antsy of like, but what's the name of it? And what's the tagline? And I totally understood her desires deeply. And at the same time, I got in that moment that we weren't going to get the name of the program and the tagline because there was something else that needed to happen first. Because she was birthing something new, this program did not exist in time and space yet. And so I knew that we almost needed to tap into the essence behind it first. So I asked her questions of like, but what is this program? And how do you want your clients to feel? And how do you want to feel delivering this program? And who is it for? And I knew that in that space, from that feeling state, the program would start to kind of take on form. And from there, the name would effortlessly come in. Now, this is a lot of what comes from my background as an energy worker, you know, working as a healer in LA for 10 years, of like knowing how energy works. And I want to lay in one other interesting piece too, because I feel like there is this whole new way of doing business. Business is great as it is, but some of us can just feel a rumbling, like what used to work isn't, we're not loving it as much anymore, and I think we're wanting it to feel even more in alignment with our core and possibly with the feminine too. So here are some thoughts I'm having around this process. So last week I shared with you about orgasmic meditation and the company One Taste that is spreading orgasmic meditation around the world. First of all, thank you for your amazing comments. And one of the pieces of the body of work that I love is that they talk about 3D and 4D. Now, they say that 3D is really the physical and the tangible realm. It's sort of like everyday reality. It's like flesh. It's like things that you can see with the eye. And then 4D is sort of where the metaphysical realm starts to come in, and the spiritual, and it's things that you can't see with the eye, like the unseen forces in the unseen realm. And so generally, business is kind of in the 3D realm, right? It's kind of like logical and linear and tangible, and that's fantastic. But to me, the next evolution is where we bring in more of the 4D to the process. Now, I've always talked about it too, like say the logical and linear, we could call it 3D, is horizontal, mainstream realities like this. And then when you bring in the 4D and the metaphysical, it starts to go on a spiral and it goes vertically. So this is pretty abstract stuff, but I'm kind of determined to bring it into business and have it make sense. So all that to say, I want to know my new niche like crazy. What's it called? What's the program? What's the launch? All of the things that I know, the logical linear aspects that create a successful business. But I don't think I'm going to get those pieces yet, because I think part of it is like what I'm birthing is a bigger baby on some level, and it's part of my mission and my movement, and I'm sure it's the same for many of you as well. So I can't jump to form too quickly. That was a phrase that my first mentor, Gina DeVee, would talk about, of like, don't jump to form too quickly. Sometimes things need to stay in that visionary realm or that feeling state or that essence place before the form can come in around it. So, mixed in with this whole exploration, my friend Jim Niswanger texted me the other day, I think, and he was like, okay, I've got a question for you, because he knows I'm like churning away of like, what's next? And he said, my question for you is, what is your massive transformational purpose. And I thought, yes, I love that. And it was such an easy answer. I mean, this is the space that I, am quite fluent in. And I was like, that is easy. I am here to help return the rightful feminine to the planet. I'm here to help click all the movement leaders into positions so that they can cause great impact with the people that they're here to touch. And I'm here to help people like free up their power so that they can remember that they are creators of their own lives. Nice, right? Like, that's the essence behind what I do. And it has been all along. But I can feel like there's almost like a chiropractic click that needs to happen, where I need to get into even more alignment behind what I'm doing. Almost like starting higher up in that visionary realm, putting some attention there, and really letting that have some breathing room and getting more and more powerful and potent. Because I know what happens when you start up there, like in the 4D, right? What happens is then as you spiral down, the concrete and tangible begins to just come in and orbit around you. You become magnetic and you draw in all the answers that you need. To me, this is a very feminine way to do business. I'm feeling a little nervous because I know some of you are going to be like, that is so abstract and you sound insane. And I get it. And when you've been an energy worker for years, a lot of this stuff makes sense. And for some of you, it will make sense. And for those of you it doesn't, that's okay too. This is all a grand experiment. And this is my experience of what I'm having around birthing my new business. So I wanted to lay these pieces in today because I think it's really important as women entrepreneurs that we remember being on the spiral and the vertical and the dimensional and the visionary space of creative artistry, if you will. Now, don't get me wrong, the concrete and tangible is super important, and the linear and logic, we do need those pieces to create a successful business for sure. It's just not the only story. And so I think this is where we start to create things being very much more holistic, right? So would you like to join me today in tuning into your massive transformational purpose? Like, let's all of us sort of like put our finger on that spot and like hold our attention there and really let ourselves soak that up so we get so deeply in alignment with that, almost like surrendering in the most utterly feminine, gorgeous way to our missions and our movements and our massive transformational purposes. And that we allow the concrete and tangible, the structures that need to come in to turn that into a reality in the mainstream reality marketplace. But let's start in the 4D and trust that that's going to support us in the 3D. So that's what I wanted to share today. I still don't know exactly what my niche is, but I'm clear on my massive transformational purpose. So I'm personally going to spend some time putting my attention there, and I'd love to invite you to do that with me too. I'm going to put some questions below. Love to get you to comment on the blog post so that you can share your massive transformational purpose. And I'd also love to hear too, like, what are you finding challenging in order to turn that into reality and turn that into a successful business? Because these are muscles that we're going to want to work of, like, what's the bigger vision? How do we turn it into reality and success in business? Do you see that? Sort of like the 4D to the 3D, 4D to the 3D. So let's practice that because I'm kind of excited by this, as abstract as it is. I think there's some magic that's wanting to come through that's going to make all of our businesses have a lot more elegant ease. And that's certainly what I want for myself and what I want for you too. So tune in. I'm going to keep the conversation going and what I'm learning around birthing my new niche, and hopefully it's of service to you. And let's keep walking together into ecstatic wealth for all. All right, everyone, take care.